Well, let's bring in Rob Kniaz, founding partner of H-Tree Capital. Rob, this is such an interesting trial, but how significant or different is it to trials we've seen before against social media?
I think the real sign is, for the first time, this is the first time that Mark Zuckerberg has ever appeared before a jury. I think the fact TikTok and the others have settled ahead of the trial means this is really the big one, as they say, where this will have a real meaningful impact on the industry going forward, depending on how it ends.
Just give us a sense of what's got to be proven here. My understanding is it's not just to prove that the content was quite addictive, but that actually the systems, the backroom workings of these platforms, the algorithms were designed to hook kids.
No, look, I'm not a lawyer, but I think the real question is, can they prove intent, and can they prove these systems were designed to hook those underage and, frankly, adults too? And I think from a computer science perspective, you're looking at a perfect problem in the sense of you created systems with instant feedback loops to create the most addicting mechanisms for engagement ever, frankly. So I do think there's a lot of internal communication, internal talk just from the industry alone. You can tell that these are systems very well designed to take advantage of people's attention span, and particularly with children who are more vulnerable.
We know that TikTok and Snapchat were also accused. They settled just before this trial opened. So it's Meta and Google who are answering. But could there be an indirect consequence for all social media platforms if it goes against Meta and Google?
100%. I mean, I think with the precedent this sets, both on the civil and criminal side, I think you're going to see an industry-wide repercussion that the companies have never been really held responsible for algorithmic developments like this. And for the first time, there may be civil penalties, albeit like big tobacco, the civil penalties don't necessarily drive the companies out of business. They kick the can down the road and have a much more big settlement that's once and for all later. But I do think it also opens up different lines of attack in different countries, as well as potentially on the regulatory front, that it gives governments a very clear ability to then jump in and say this must be regulated the same way the tobacco industry got regulated years ago.
What could all of this mean for the consumer, the one who sits on their phone and enjoys and goes through all these social media platforms? Should we prepare for the possibility of a very different product?
I think it might change. I mean, right now, these are so addicting. You can go on, I'm a grown man, I can go on TikTok and, 5 minutes turns into 30 minutes if I'm not careful. It's just so addicting and so stimulating. Just sit back and watch. I think the same way, they're going to have to put some guardrails and encourage people to moderate. The same way with food, you have portion control. I think there's going to have to be some sort of attention portion control. And likewise, with children and the underage, I think it's still a question of how much do you allow them to be exposed to, or how engaging can it be? And there may be sort of dampening filters to make it slightly less engaging or have somewhat of a better filter. Facebook has a long history, too, of adding things like filters and other things that were recommended against inside the company. And they went ahead and launched it for the sake of growth anyway. So Mark has a lot of explaining to do, I think.
Thank you so much. That's Rob Kniaz, founding partner of H-Tree Capital.